I've been intrigued by two things found in the Old Testament. One place it says, "Do not muzzle the ox that treads the corn." Now, it wasn't maize. It was when they said corn throughout the Old Testament, they actually mean either wheat or barley. Corn being a grain. Yeah. So the other thing that strikes my interest is that it says something like, "Do not seethe or boil. Do not seethe a kid goat in its mother's milk." And it's from that commandment that super kosher Jews don't eat cheeseburgers, and they have separate kitchen utensils and kitchen pots, etc. Some for cooking meat and some for milk products, cheese, yogurt, etc. So they keep them completely separate. Well, what these two things say to me is that whatever spirit was behind the Old Testament, the creating of the Old Testament, had a concern that the Jews try to be more sensitive to cruelty in the world, and that with less cruelty in the world, it's going to have to be a better place for all of us. So I had this strange experience. I've had one rather remarkable spiritual experience, and I don't even know what to make of it. But I had this one experience, and so to some extent, I created it all myself, but still, it was pretty powerful. Okay, so here's what it was, is that there was this course, impact training, that's what it was. And so I was assisting. I wasn't in the course, I was assisting. And there came a point where everybody was really sort of wrung out because there was this exercise prior to dinner time that was very powerful. And so everybody now had left for dinner, and the idea was that when they come back into the room, we would have made the room beautiful. And so there was a lot of focus of myself and everybody with me to create this magnificent bouquet, and below it a layout of fruits cut up and ready to eat. I think we had instructed everybody, eat dinner, don't eat dessert, come back. And so there was this just beautiful presentation with a lot of intentionality put into it of flowers and fruit. So after I had done that and was in this special place of trying to serve others and make this thing really beautiful, we had time to relax. So I went in this janitor closet, I guess, a storage closet of some kind, and put in there's a soundtrack to a movie called The Mission, and the I can't remember the composer's name, but it's pretty interesting soundtrack. And one of the items on there is a Paraguayan native chorus singing Ave Maria. And so, there's a fair number in this chorus that are not with the rest. It's a little bit off key, but it's close enough to the music of Ave Maria. And the off key folk give the whole thing a very pleading feel to it. There's this powerful pleading for Maria. And I'm not Catholic, and even among some Catholics, those who are more into the Virgin Mary than other Catholics, I think are known as Marians, I ain't no Marion. But I'm listening to this music. The lights are out in the closet. I have my eyes closed. And I began to visualize the Virgin Mary receiving to herself all of the tormented, abused, tortured, murdered children over the centuries. And as she takes them to herself to comfort them and receive them, she grows in stature. But this growing in stature includes growing in fury at the injustice, the cruelty. And I began to weep. It was very powerful. So I just have this thing about cruelty. I correspond with a guy who's a lifer in Angola, Louisiana prison, biggest prison in the country, and he's in for life. And so we've been corresponding, talking on the phone regularly, like once a week, for about 19 years now. And he was telling me that he was working in the prison hospital. So I asked, what are some of the guys in there? And said, geez, can you imagine being in prison, paralyzed, waist down? That'd be terrible. But can you imagine being paralyzed from the neck down and in prison? And some of them are blind, and just others are weak and debilitated. So I said, what if I got a bunch of folks here on the outside to write Christmas letters to these prisoners? Do you think they'd like? Oh, God, yes, they'd love that. So I did. I got people to write these letters, and I went to my older brother, and I love my older brother. He is a prince. And I explained the project to him. Would he like to write a letter to these guys in prison? He says, no, I don't. He says, Nathan, when these guys committed their rapes, their robberies, their torturing, their killing, maybe dying alone and hopeless in a prison hospital was what we intended for them. That's the outcome we intended when we sent them there. Now, I can't argue against him. There's a lot to what he's saying. But man, I just couldn't be with that. And I began to take a look at that Nathan Kirk cannot abide hopelessness. It just really does. I can't allow it anywhere around me. So it might be worth something to you to take a look at. What is that thing you cannot tolerate being in your life or around you?